Joe Biden has announced sweeping new measures as part of the COVID-19 initiative, which will require workers at large companies to be vaccinated or undergo regular testing. These measures include a vaccination mandate for millions of federal government employees at a time when cases in the country are on the rise. With the spread of the more transmissible Delta variant, hospitals in several states have reached capacity. Approximately 100 million workers will be covered by the new requirements. Upon unveiling his plan, President Obama stated, "This is not about freedom or personal choice, it's about protecting yourself and those around you." Since last year, more than 650,000 Americans have died from COVID-19. In the United States, approximately 80 million people remain unvaccinated. In a speech given at the White House, Vice President Biden announced his plan. It is his intention to direct the U.S. Department of Labor to require all private businesses with 100 or more employees to mandate the injection or request proof of a negative coronavirus test at least once a week from employees. More than 17 million healthcare workers at facilities receiving federal benefits will also be subject to the same requirements. The plan triggered an immediate backlash among some Republicans, who argued that the government should not play a role in the health decisions of individuals. Biden and the radical Democrats have thumbed their noses at the Constitution. It is no longer necessary to sweet-talk the American public into taking the COVID-19 vaccine. The time for government mandates has arrived. Joe Biden delivered a blunt message to the nation. In spite of the fact that most Americans have received at least one vaccination, the president positioned the blame for the continued health crises in the United States squarely on the 25% of the public who are unvaccinated and on the politicians who are actively working to undermine the fight. As Mr. Biden asserted, the vaccine orders were not about freedom of choice, but this is precisely how some Americans will view them, as a forced choice between vaccination and employment. Furthermore, while vaccination mandates will increase the number of Americans who are vaccinated, they will also inflame a debate already rife with tension. Mr. Biden gave an optimistic speech in July about how Americans will soon be declaring their independence from the virus. This Independence Day has not yet arrived as a result of the Delta variant. As a consequence, the U.S. economy has suffered and the public has a negative perception of the president's handling of the pandemic. Biden is seeking to use government resources to turn the tide. As part of the president's policy, he will use all the executive authority at his disposal to require unvaccinated Americans to receive the vaccine. Some of his initiatives address common concerns of Americans who have yet to get the vaccine, such as not wanting to miss work to get the jab or recover from side effects. The president said that requirements that large businesses provide paid time off for workers to get vaccinated will be unveiled in the coming weeks by the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, OSHA. Businesses that do not comply with the new rules may face thousands of dollars in fines per violation. A separate federal mandate, which the White House says will impact some 2.5 million government workers, supersedes Mr. Biden's earlier order that permitted government employees to undergo regular testing if they did not wish to be vaccinated. Now workers that refuse the jab may be fired. Overall, the rule now requires that about 2/3 of all U.S. workers be vaccinated. Thousands of people, largely unvaccinated, are dying every week in the U.S. with COVID-19. The situation has dealt a blow to Mr. Biden's hopes that a successful pandemic response would bolster support for the Democratic president. Other rules that Mr. Biden directed include a doubling of fines for passengers on planes who refuse to wear a mask, invoking the Defense Production Act to accelerate the creation of rapid at-home testing kits, deploying healthcare workers to areas experiencing surges in cases, increasing the weekly pace of shipments of free monoclonal antibody treatment to hospitals. Even with the Delta-driven surge, deaths are still down from last winter in most places. However, some regions with relatively low jab rates have recently recorded record-high infection rates. According to Mr. Biden, even with the Delta variant, the path ahead is not nearly as difficult as last winter. It is extremely frustrating that a distinct minority of Americans is preventing us from turning the corner. Approximately 64% of American adults are fully vaccinated, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC. More than 75% of the patients have received their first dose of COVID-19. Similarly, Los Angeles education officials voted to require that all students aged 12 and older be vaccinated before attending school, unless they have a medical or other exemption. It is likely that the measure will be challenged in court.